Cadet searched her bag to expose her froze when Lieutenant salutes her. As his Fleet Admiral, you never really know who walks beside you, until a moment strips away every disguise. At the Naval Academy, discipline ruled, secrets drowned. But that morning, as sunlight struck a row of spotless uniforms, one hidden truth was about to surface, and it would silence even the harshest of voices. The parade ground shimmered beneath the early sun, a thin mist rising from the grass like breath from something alive. Cadet Elena Ward, 23, adjusted the crease of her navy blue uniform, her fingers trembling ever so slightly. She wasn't nervous about inspection, she never was. She was nervous about what lay hidden inside the small duffel under her bunk. 3 years into her training, Elena had built a reputation few could match. Sharp mind, quiet courage, no family name to lean on. Or so everyone believed. Every morning she walked the same path across the Academy courtyard, past the statue of Fleet Admiral Jonathan Ward, the hero of the Atlantic campaign. Her father, the man whose portrait hung in every command office from here to Norfolk, but no one knew. When she enlisted, she used her mother's surname, determined to rise through the ranks by merit, not privilege. She wanted to be Cadet Ward, not the Admiral's daughter, she had promised her father that truth would remain buried until graduation. But promises are fragile things, and especially in a world built on secrets and scrutiny. That morning, a whisper spread across the barracks. Surprise quarters inspection today. And suddenly, the calm inside her chest shattered like glass. The announcement hit the cadets like thunder. Every room, every locker, every bag barked Airman Colonel Briggs, the Academy's most feared disciplinarian. If you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear. Elena stood among rows of cadets, the air tight with unspoken anxiety. Her best friend, Cadet Nora Flynn, nudged her shoulder and whispered, "You okay?" Elena nodded, forcing a calm smile. Always. But her heart raced. Inside her duffel was something she should never have brought on base. Her father's ceremonial officer's pistol, gold-inlaid, engraved with the Ward crest. He'd given it to her before surgery, saying softly, "It's yours now. Take it with you to the memorial. Speak for me when I can't." Beside it, an envelope containing a speech her father had written for tomorrow's memorial of the Atlantic campaign. It detailed not just his victories, but also confessions of lost men, classified maneuvers, and a truth the world never knew. As the officers moved down the line, checking lockers, flipping mattresses, her breath shortened. Colonel Briggs stopped at her section. "Ward," he said coldly, "you're always too quiet. Let's see what you're hiding." A hush fell. He motioned for his aide to search her quarters. Elena's hands clenched behind her back. Her knuckles went white. The aide reached under the bunk and pulled out her duffel. Briggs's eyes narrowed. "Open it," Elena stepped forward. "Sir, that's my personal—" "Now, Cadet." The zipper rasped open like a blade. Inside lay the gleam of gold on her father's pistol, and the sealed envelope marked confidential. The room froze. The silence was so thick it was almost soundless. Then came whispers, the kind that cut like knives. "Who brings a weapon to the dorm? Is that classified material?" "She's done." Briggs lifted the weapon carefully, his expression hardening. "This Cadet Ward is a violation of Section 12, unauthorized possession of naval-grade weaponry." He held up the envelope next. "And this looks like restricted documentation." Elena's voice barely came out. "Sir, it's not enough." His tone snapped through the air. "You're confined to the main hall pending inquiry." As the guards escorted her away, she glanced once at Lieutenant Daniel Reeves, the officer supervising inspections, a man known for fairness and restraint. Their eyes met for half a second. Something flickered in his gaze. Recognition? Confusion. Then he looked away. and the corridor swallowed her whole. The main hall, usually echoing with cadet chatter, was now silent. Rows of uniforms sat motionless, waiting. Elena stood at the front, flanked by officers. The pistol and documents lay on the table like evidence in a trial that hadn't yet begun. Colonel Briggs paced slowly. "Cadet Ward, do you deny ownership of these items?" "No, sir." "Then explain." Her throat tightened. She could explain everything. The memorial, her father's request, her promise. But each word risked exposing the identity she'd fought to conceal. "I brought them for a ceremony, sir," she said finally. "The contents are personal, not operational." "Personal?" Briggs scoffed. "You expect us to believe classified documents in a military sidearm are personal?" The officers murmured. Lieutenant Reeves stepped closer, studying the weapon's grip. His hand froze on the engraved crest, the award insignia. Unmistakable. He turned it under the light, his eyes widening. Briggs noticed. "Lieutenant, you seem to recognize something." Reeves hesitated, then spoke, his voice low. "I served under a man who carried this same pistol. Fleet Admiral Jonathan Ward." A ripple spread through the room. Elena's secret shattered in an instant. Briggs turned to her sharply. "Fleet Admiral Ward and your father?" Elena's silence was answer enough. Gasps, whispers, shock, and then something no one expected. Lieutenant Reeves stepped forward, straightened his posture, and saluted her. The entire hall fell still. The gesture hit the room like a wave, a junior officer saluting a cadet. It broke every line of protocol. Yet Reeves stood unmoving, his voice steady. "Sir," he said softly, eyes locked on Elena, "your father saved my entire crew during the Baltic siege. If you carry his emblem, you've earned more than suspicion." Briggs's face flushed crimson. "Lieutenant Reeves, you are out of line." "With respect, sir," Reeves said, "so is this investigation." Elena stood frozen, torn between humiliation and disbelief. The eyes around her weren't just judgmental now. They were shifting, uncertain, searching for truth. Briggs slammed the pistol back onto the table. "I don't care whose daughter you are. This is an academy, not a shrine. These documents contain live deployment patterns. That's a federal offense." Elena's heart stopped. "Live deployments?" she whispered. "That can't be right. Those papers were written months ago." Reeves flipped through the pages, his brow furrowing. "She's right. Except this section. This wasn't here before." "What section?" Briggs snapped. Reeves pointed to a paragraph outlining active fleet positions, information that couldn't possibly belong in a memorial speech. Someone had tampered with the documents. And suddenly, the salute meant something more. This wasn't just about respect anymore, it was about trust, and the possibility that someone inside the academy had set her up. Hours passed in the sterile hum of the interrogation chamber. Elena sat under a single light, its glare painting her fatigue in sharp relief. Across from her, Colonel Briggs' wing stood stiff, arms folded, while then Lieutenant Reeves lingered in the corner, silent, a quiet observer in a storm of accusation. Briggs placed the envelope on the table. "You claim this speech came directly from Fleet Admiral Ward?" "Yes, sir." "And yet these coordinates," he tapped the page, "reflect current fleet movements. Do you expect us to believe your father, a decorated officer, deliberately leaked classified data?" Elena's voice quivered. "He wouldn't. He's in the hospital recovering from surgery. He gave me this before he went under. I never opened it, sir." Briggs leaned forward. "Then who altered it?" "I don't know." Convenient answer. Reeves finally spoke, his tone calm but firm. "Sir, may I request a forensic review? If the ink variation matches a recent entry, we'll know if tampering occurred." Briggs gave a reluctant nod. "Fine. But until then she remained suspended from duty." As the guards escorted her out, Elena turned to Reeves. "Why are you helping me?" He paused, the faintest sadness crossing his face. Because I've seen that look before. The look of someone paying for someone else's mistake. Rain lashed against the academy windows that night. Elena sat alone in the observation wing, stripped of her cadet insignia, her reflection fractured by the glass. Outside, the sea churned under lightning, chaos mirroring the war inside her. Nora slipped in quietly, still in uniform. "They're saying you're done," she whispered. "They think your dad's behind it all. The files, the leak, everything." Elena closed her eyes. "He's not. Someone wants him discredited, and I handed them the weapon to do it." Nora knelt beside her, voice trembling. "Then fight back. Don't let them bury your name with his." Elena's gaze drifted to the horizon, a faint glow where dawn threatened to rise. "My father always said the ocean keeps its secrets." Maybe it's time one of them spoke. Down the hall unseen, Lieutenant Reeves watched through the glass wall. He had spent all night digging through communication logs. One name kept surfacing: Commander Philip Kane, Admiral Ward's hospital aide. Clearance for historical archives, but inexplicable access to live naval intel. Reeves clenched his jaw. "You clever bastard," he muttered. "You used her." Morning brought new orders. Elena was to appear before Admiral Cushing, head of Naval Command, in the Academy Situation Room. The gravity of her summons rippled across the cadet corps. As she entered, every step echoed like a verdict. Cushing's voice carried decades of command weight. "Cadet Ward, you've placed this institution in jeopardy. Evidence suggests classified intel was leaked from the document you carried." Elena lifted her chin. "Sir, someone altered those pages after my father signed them. My loyalty isn't in question." Briggs cut in. "Your loyalty is the only thing in question." Before Cushing could respond, Reeves entered, uninvited, holding a data pad. "Permission to speak, sir." Cushing nodded. Reeves set the pad down, screen flashing with communication records. "I traced all data transfers linked to Commander Kane's terminal at Norfolk Medical. The document was accessed at 0200 hours, 12 hours after the Admiral's signature." He pointed to a timestamp. "By someone logged in under Kane's credentials." Briggs frowned. "And you're certain?" Reeves looked at Elena. "As certain as I was the day her father saved me from drowning off the Baltic coast." For the first time, Cushing's sternness softened. "Then we find Kane." The chase began before sunrise. Naval security intercepted Kane's vehicle en route to the docks. But by the time they arrived, he was gone, his ID card discarded near a restricted pier. Rain slicked the asphalt. Waves smashed against metal pylons. Reeves and Elena arrived moments later, breathless. "He's heading for the freight vessel," Reeves said, scanning the bay. They sprinted toward the pier, boots splashing through puddles, fog blurring the edges of reality. Through the mist, Kane appeared, suitcase in hand, panic wild in his eyes. "Commander Kane," Reeves shouted. "Stand down." Kane turned, gun drawn. "You don't understand. It wasn't supposed to go this far." Elena stepped forward, trembling but steady. "You forged my father's speech." "Why?" Kane's voice cracked. "They wanted proof. They said if I didn't cooperate, they'd expose the Admiral's medical reports. I thought I could alter the documents, make it look harmless. But someone else, someone inside command, added the live data later." "Who?" Reeves demanded. Kane hesitated. Then a sharp crack echoed. A bullet tore through the fog. Kane collapsed. Reeves dove forward, shouting for medics, but it was too late. The shot came from a distant rooftop, a professional strike. Whoever orchestrated this had silenced their link. Elena knelt beside Kane's body. His final words were a whisper, "Check Section D, command files," and then he was gone. Back at the academy, Reeves and Elena stood before Admiral Cushing, soaked and exhausted. Cushing's tone was grim. "Section D houses encrypted correspondence between high-ranking officers. If Kane mentioned it, someone far above his clearance authorized the leak." Reeves placed the recovered suitcase on the table. Inside were forged naval seals, multiple fake data drives, and one folded note bearing the Admiral's handwriting. Elena's trembling hands unfolded it. The note read, "Elena, if you are reading this, it means my suspicions were correct. Trust no one beyond Reeves. Section D holds the truth. What I began in the Atlantic you must finish." Her breath caught. He had known. He had seen this storm coming before she ever stepped foot in the Academy. Briggs, now visibly shaken, muttered, "He wasn't smuggling classified data. He was setting a trap for traitors within our own fleet." Elena looked up, tears welling but her voice steady. "My father didn't teach me to hide behind his name. He taught me to fight for the honor it stood for." Cushing straightened, the weight of realization heavy in his eyes. "Then let's finish what your father started." Outside, the Academy bell tolled, not for punishment this time, but for awakening. The heavy doors of the Academy hall opened and silence fell like snow. A convoy rolled in, black jeeps bearing the emblem of the Central Defense Fleet. Out stepped Fleet Admiral Marcus Voss, a man whose name was carved into every military history textbook. The cadets gasped. Even Colonel Briggs stood straighter, a hint of sweat on his brow. Voss's eyes swept the room, and then softened as they landed on Elena. He walked toward her, every step echoing in the frozen hall. "Cadet Elena Hayes," his voice rumbled, steady as steel, or should I say, "Fleet Admiral Hayes, ma'am." Gasps rippled through the cadets. The word Admiral hit the air like thunder. Reeves's breath caught. His hand, trembling, rose to his brow, the salute sharp, respectful, full of remorse. The others followed one by one, until the entire hall was filled with the synchronized sound of hands snapping to attention. Elena didn't speak. Her eyes glistened, her face unreadable, pain, pride, forgiveness, and authority all blended into one quiet storm. "I didn't come here to remind anyone of my rank," she finally said. "I came to remember why I earned it." Voss turned to the colonel. "Briggs, you should have recognized her. She commanded the Great Northern Fleet during the Black Sea crisis. Saved 600 of your own men when you froze to act." The colonel's jaw dropped. The cadet's bravado dissolved into guilt and awe. Elena's name, which had once been whispered with mockery, was now spoken with trembling reverence. Elena's gaze softened as she looked around. "You thought the uniform made you better," she said quietly, "but it's the heart behind it that truly commands respect." The lieutenant stepped forward. "Ma'am, I didn't know." Elena offered a faint smile. "Now you do, and that's enough." She turned to leave, her steps echoing through the hall. Each sound carried the weight of humility, the power of restraint, and the quiet dignity of a leader who had nothing left to prove. No medals, no titles, just respect, earned, not demanded. Days later, the Academy installed a new plaque on its main gate. "Honor is not shown by rank, but by respect, Fleet Admiral Elena Hayes." Every cadet who passed under it felt the gravity of her silence that day. Elena's story became a lesson whispered in corridors and remembered in every salute thereafter. Sometimes, greatness walks quietly among us. Sometimes, the most powerful person in the room doesn't need to prove it. And when humility wears the uniform of honor, even arrogance must bow. A single salute remains, frozen in time, beneath the words. Respect is earned, not exposed.